Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we're going to have a look at the latest GFS, GEM, ECMWF, GFS ensembles, and then have a look at precipitation charts and weather warnings, as we do have some very windy and rainy weather coming in the next couple days. Do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you do like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description. So currently we'll go through the latest GFS, and today we have had some more thunderstorm outbreaks in the east. They have been single-celled storms and quite localised, so really only affecting a few areas, but mainly in the east, as we've got a brief ridge of high pressure building in this evening and overnight. That is ahead of weather fronts that are going to be coming in tomorrow around lunchtime for many areas. Spreading in from the west with this area of low pressure, bringing quite windy conditions. There's a yellow wind warning out with that, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. And then beyond that, that eventually clears through and we go back into a quite unsettled spell. And then Sunday into Monday, again another deluge. Mainly rain would be the issue with that, as the low doesn't look too packed with many isobars. Beyond that, we have seen a very good signal that high pressure will be finally taking control. Now, if we go to day 10, you can see a big ridge of high pressures over the top of the UK. However, the upper airs are not particularly warm just because of the orientation of this high. That means, unfortunately, temperatures, although will be reasonable, maybe high teens, maybe even 20 degrees, won't be particularly warm, i.e. getting into the low to mid-20s like you would hope with a big ridge this time of year. Now, it does mean showers will be reduced. There perhaps could be a few in the east where we're closer to low pressure, but again, I don't expect too much in the space of rain. Beyond that, the high does sit around and it keeps deflecting these lows further northwards, and the high pressure continues just sitting over the top of the country. And you can see some warmer air starting to waft up from the south by 384 hours, and we could be going a lot warmer in the first third of June, so we'll really have to keep an eye on that. If we now have a look at the latest GM run, you see a very similar pattern to the GFS, and as we run through, you can see we begin pulling northerly winds with colder air coming back in ahead of the level low on Monday. Then again, similar to the GFS, we see that high building, and we only go to 180 hours on this latest GFS run, GM run. But if we go back to the midnight run last night, you can see high pressure again stays around, but again we still have a reasonably cool flow from the north, which means the upper airs are not too cold nor too warm. So we'll just have to keep an eye on what the temperatures could be with this. If we do see some sunshine, light winds, temperatures could get up into the high teens, maybe even 20 degrees, but I wouldn't expect anything too warm with that. If we now have a look at the ECMWF, again, very similar pattern to the GFS over the next couple of days. Very low, deep area of low pressure moving in tomorrow. And then the high pressure really does build in. And you can see, again, high pressure over the top of the country. 850 HPA temperatures. Not particularly warm. There's even a pocket of -5 degrees, 850 HPA towards Scotland, which could mean frost could return if you look at the temperature deviation. Although we're under higher pressure, this ECMWF run does have some quite cold air over the top, especially further northwards. You'd hope, though, if we gave this high pressure another couple of days, we would start to see some warmer air waft up, and we would see perhaps some warmer conditions. So hopefully by the end of May and the start of June, it is looking like higher pressure, so drier, finer and potentially warmer weather could prevail. If we now have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see how over the next sort of week or so we are below average. Got a lot of precipitation signals around for low pressure systems moving around. But then you can see in the longer term, temperatures do rise back up to around average, or maybe even above average. And you can see some is going colder, so they'll have similar upper area patterns to the ECMWF, others going a lot warmer. You can see, though, with the precipitation signals, very few have many precipitation spikes, and those precipitation spikes we do see will most likely be formed by an upper level trough or a little cut-off low underneath the high pressure, which could give localized heavy rain. So again, that's something, a little feature that we'll have to worry about in sort of the 4 or 5 day time frame. So it's a good couple weeks away to see that, but it does definitely look like we are starting to see signals of some drier and potentially warmer conditions. If we now go on to the GFS, we're going to have a look at the rain over the next couple of days and the wind. Now, you can see a few thunderstorms in the east, but then the weather fronts gather. By tomorrow morning, weather fronts do spread in from the west, and they are mainly concentrated with the heaviest rain in the north. And you can see weather bands just mill around the middle of the low through Friday, and then as we head into Saturday, those weather bands slowly peter out, and we can bring in some showers and perhaps some drier and sunnier conditions. Through Sunday, another weather front arrives with another area of low pressure, quite heavy and more widespread with the heavy rain. Through Sunday afternoon, before clearing and going into a more showery regime before the high pressure starts to build in. If we have a brief look, we'll have a look at wind gusts, as those are probably going to be causing the biggest impacts. You can see big wind gusts starting to appear, 60 or 70 miles an hour, moving through, perhaps even 40, 50 mile an hour inland through Saturday, and then for that low pressure moving in through Sunday and Monday, it doesn't look like wind will be too much of an impact. There's really this low moving in tomorrow with some very strong winds, perhaps 70 or 80 mile an hour gusts, perhaps in the south. If we now run through the GM run, you can see again, very similar to the GFS with the main bands of rain further northwards and just having lighter rain spiraling around the centre of the low, spreading most areas. So most areas will see some rain, but not perhaps the heaviest, especially further southwards. Beyond that, rain showers still do build in through Friday. Saturday's a bit dry, but still a few showers around, maybe a few heavy showers, and then that weather front moves through with widespread heavy rain, quite narrow on the GM, so perhaps only lasting 3 or so hours, and then before clearing through, and then going a lot more showery, but drier as well. If we now have a look at the winds, these are sustained winds. The GM doesn't unfortunately show wind gusts, but you can see sustained winds around 40 or 50 miles per hour, maybe more like 30 miles an hour inland, but yeah, 40, 50 miles an hour for south coast. And it definitely look like further southwards is going to be the biggest impacts indeed, and beyond that, as it clears, winds do fall a bit lighter once again. If we now have a look at the icon run, you can again see very similar patterns to the GM and GFS, with the main heavy rain towards the north and parts of Scotland. South getting a bit of rain, but mainly missing out on the heaviest stuff. For more rain bands clear through most of the country through Friday night into Saturday, and then we have another weather front moving in, again quite narrow, through sort of Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, with showers packing in behind. If we have a look at the wind gusts on the icon run, you can say 70, perhaps even 80, or even 85 mile an hour gusts through Thursday afternoon towards Southern Ireland, parts of Wales, perhaps southwestern parts, and those strong winds do come inland, maybe 50 or 60 mile an hour winds perhaps, with that before it's slowly subsiding through Friday evening into the night. So it does look like for western areas, southwestern parts, Southern Ireland, it could be sort of Thursday afternoon, evening with the biggest winds. For widely England and Wales, more likely Friday morning through Friday lunchtime into early afternoon could be the strongest winds. So we'll really have to keep an eye on if these weather models do upgrade the situation, as at the moment we do have a yellow warning in force, of course. If we have a look at that yellow warning, you can see it mainly covers southern Wales, southwestern parts, and most of southern England, including sort of Kent area and parts of Essex. So you could see with those wind gust charts exactly where we're going to see those heavier gusts. And I do suspect the Met Office may increase this a little bit further northwards. Having a look at that latest icon run, it does look like some strong winds could be in sort of the London, Oxfordshire area as well. But again, it's impacts mainly caused because of the trees are in leaf, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. It was issued early this morning, so it's still subject to change, and they'll likely, if they're going to change it, they'll likely change it tomorrow morning at a similar time, so we'll have a look at that when it does if it does happen. So you can see, in addition to some heavy rain, the low will bring with it a spell of relatively high winds. Windiest conditions will start to affect southern Wales, southwestern England Thursday late afternoon and evening, before spreading across southern England Thursday night into early Friday. Inland gusts of around 45 to 50 mile an hour expected, so it's quite accurate to what we saw on the raw data, and then perhaps maybe 55 to 60 mile an hour. And having a look at those charts, there perhaps could be a bit higher gusts, especially in the further southwest, maybe parts of Isle of Wight and Needles, where we do see the localized, normally like strongest wind gusts, and you can see very strong wind gusts in the sort of wind hollows we do have in some southern coastal areas. We could see much stronger gusts than that, but widely I suspect, 60 mile an hour probably would be the strongest gusts. You can see with the warning impact matrix, it's mainly because it's likely and it has a reasonable high impact. I don't expect its impact to change substantially, as weather models are unlikely to change by more than 5 mile an hour or so. But it could become more likely, and I could see that the yellow warning area could be increased as well, so I have to keep an eye on that. Now lastly, we'll have a look at the latest radar, as again we do have some single cell thunderstorms cropping up, especially further eastwards. Now, if we go back into the full map, you can see where we've got these single cell thunderstorms. They've been coming in and out, as we do have some cape and some wind convergence in the east, but nothing too major today. So I haven't seen these big sort of sustained thunderstorms that we have seen over the last couple of days. Sort of these single cell thunderstorms that are popping in and out, quite localized. So some areas seeing some hail, gusty winds, frequent lightning, and then maybe 5 miles away seeing just light rain. So again, if you did get caught out or are being caught out in some of these showers, they are quite heavy, but you can see they're only really confined to the east and southeast at the moment, as a ridge is building further westwards. And if we run through all the way to early this afternoon, you can see how they are very localized, these sort of single-celled storms coming into existence and then fading within maybe 30 to 45 minutes for other storms cropping up. So it's very difficult to predict exactly where these storms are going to pop up, so make sure you do check your radar. If you do need to go outside and do anything, do have a look at the radar just to see if there's any shower activity coming in your direction. The showers look like they're moving from the northwest to the southeast, moving sort of towards sort of the Essex-Kent area. So if you're in this region here, you are likely to see some rain and perhaps an isolated little thunderstorm moving through. So do keep an eye for that. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.